Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy for Now. It's me, Isabel, here with my September wrap-up. I'm not doing a high-low again because I didn't read a lot yet again. I don't know that I would say I'm in a slump necessarily. I'm just choosing other things. And some of those other things sometimes are just staring at a wall. It's fine. September yet again was a rough month. I feel like I'm coming out of the rough patch here. I need to be, let me put it that way. I need to be coming out of the rough patch here. And yeah, it is what it is. I'm gonna go through the 6 things I did read this month for you because there's no point in the high lows with how little I did read. As always, we're gonna start with my stats and talk about it. I read 6 books, as I said earlier. I feel like I had a more normal person reading month, but I also read 55 volumes of manga, so this is tempered with that. I don't think 6 books is terrible. I managed to read 2,804 pages, an average rating of a 4.5, 23.68 hours of audio. I read 1 title from KU, 4 books from the library. Age demographics were 4 adult titles and 2 young adult titles. Format-wise, it was 5 audiobooks and 1 ebook. I was barely picking my Kindle up this month for books. I'm gonna change that in October and I'm very excited for it, but that just gives you a frame. It was a busy month. I also had 30 and 30 going on. I was hoping to host sprints, didn't get to because of the chaos that is my life. That's where we're at. That is where we're at. I'm here. I survived. And I'm going on a girls trip. Literally, we'll be back from our girls trip the day you watch this. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that vlog. I cannot wait for this girls trip. I need this time desperately after the way things have gone recently. So yeah, let's dive into everything I read. So first up, I did a little mini catch up on Throne of Glass. So I read Heir of Fire and Empire. No, not Empire. What? I'm jumping titles. I read Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows. So books 3 and 4 in the series. I enjoyed these. I think there's always going to be a nostalgia for me when it comes to her works. I also think there's a lot of critique to be had when you revisit the series, having read a lot of other things now. So revisiting it, like, they're fine. They're fine. They're like 3 stars for me, like 3.5s, because there is a nostalgia there, and I will admit to that. But I also think it's interesting seeing how these are compared to what I remember from them, and also what I see talked about in this series. I'm doing the Mass Effect read along with Bethany and a bunch of other people, and it's been really fun revisiting this and just kind of having critiques and issues. I do think these 2 books are kind of when we start to step away from the more young adult style fantasy in this series, but it's not completely gone yet. I honestly feel like these are the 2 books in which I feel like the series also picks up a lot, like a lot of steam. So I would be curious to see how it goes as I continue. I don't necessarily think anyone needs to run out and read Sarah J. Maas. I feel like there are so many other fantastic options out there, but I do think it's really, like I said, interesting for me to revisit this as someone who read this series a long time ago. It's kind of like when we did the Twilight read through and reread it and had tons of issues. And that's kind of how I'm feeling about these. They're fine. I understand the popularity. There is a level of accessibility and sameness in these, in stories we've already know, have already read, have already watched, etc. I mean, there's a whole theory about the Black Jewels series in this one, which that's a whole other topic. Anyways, it was interesting. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. Just kind of am here for the ride. I think it's been interesting to revisit. Then I read Space for Love by Emily Antoinette. This was a member's pick. They got their blog for this month. I am finally caught up right now, which is feels so good. I'm gonna stay caught up the rest of the year, and next year I'm staying caught up unless something catastrophic happens again. But I don't think we're in for anything else catastrophic for a bit. Fingers crossed, y'all. I don't know. So Space for Love has our plus size heroine who is recently moved to a space station. I feel like book 2 for free in this. I'm very excited to read more. And a hero who is like kind of a scarier alien type. And he and her meet via like a hologram thing, so it doesn't look like him, and it's their romance. And there's a bit of a 3rd act breakup that makes a lot of sense in my opinion here, but it doesn't last too long, which also worked really well for me. But I had a good time with this. It was fun. I thought our fat heroine was delightful. I thought our hero was really fun and engaging. I left it really happy to have a new author writing space alien romances that I enjoyed personally, and also just overall happy. I don't know, it has a good cover, like all of the things worked for me in this overall at the end of the day. So it was like an easy 4-star read for me. Very engaging, very fun. Then I listened to Marriage and Masty by Nisha Sharma, the newest and last book in the Shakespearean Aunties series. Fantastic. This was a 5-star for me. I loved this book so much. I loved this series. I do think Dating Dr. Dill is the weakest in the series. Book 2 and 3, in my opinion, are the best. I love the friends to lovers element here, and the, oh no, we accidentally got married and showing this couple how to get married setup. Perfection. Also, the discovery of why feelings were hurt between Deepak and Vera because of his surprise engagement and him not really sharing that info with her. Fantastic. Like, all around, this was just a fantastic read, in my opinion. And I think it just wrapped up the series and the friend group's romances perfectly, because we ended with everyone in their HEA, and that's all I want. But also, I love that Deepak and Vera had this moment of like, kind of fighting over, like, he was like, here, just use my money. She's like, I don't need your money. I don't need your money. But we also had a really interesting misogyny plot line happening with Vera's dad, who did not believe the daughters could run the company or be involved in leadership and also have a family. That was kind of interesting to see unfold. And overall, again, but yeah, this was just really, really fun, really enjoyable, solid ending to the series. I'm happy to have read it, and I think the audiobook's a great option if you haven't read it yet, because I do think the audio is fantastically narrated. Okay, next we have Daydream by Hannah Grace. I did read this. It came out in... Did it come out in August? Or did it come out this month? Anyways, I don't remember when this came out, but I read it. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I really enjoy these. I think some people have big expectations when they hear about this series and these books. And these are books that I consider like a nice palate cleanser, a fun time, just a college romance, right? And that's exactly what I get here. I love Henry so much in this, and I also love our heroine, Hallie. Hallie, our heroine, is also fantastic. She's an oldest daughter. She feels a lot of pressure. And though I am the baby, but I am the only daughter, I related a lot to the pressure she discussed in this book, because there is this thing where the oldest daughter sometimes is the family manager, is the one pulling all these things together and all this stuff. And I don't know, I deeply related to like expectations on her as the daughter, as the eldest daughter, and all this stuff. I also really related to Henry's undiagnosed, unknown learning disabilities. I related to his like need to procrastinate at times and not get a thing done and stuff like that. Like, there was just a lot about Henry that I really related to, and same thing for Hallie. So I just really loved their romance, and the way that they were able to both support each other worked really well for me. I didn't love the third act breakup. It did need to happen. I understand that, but I still didn't love it. But they did like grow to, like, Henry had to do work on himself to be able to come back and be the right person for Hallie. So it kind of worked at the end of the day. I give this like a 4.5. I had a good time. I think this, again, another one that was just really good for what it is. But yeah, it's more Hannah Grace. If you liked the other two books, I think you'll like Daydream. If you didn't like them, you're not going to like Daydream. Like, it very much is exactly what it is. It's exactly what Hannah Grace writes. And I like what she writes. I find, again, them to be very consumable, fun reads at the end of the day. But this one definitely hit me a little bit harder in the gut, especially some of the stuff about like her feeling very forgotten and left out by the family at times. I don't know. There was just a lot in here that I was like, wow, I feel slightly called out at times. And last but not least, the romantasy I read this month was One Dark Window. This was my members' pick for September. Their vlog is up. Y'all, your vlog's up. If you can't find it or need it, let me know. This was good. I liked this. My friend Heather at Hia Booktubes and Robin at Paperbacks and Planners really liked this. And I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna really like this too. And I did really like this. I do think it has a bit of that first book-itis where there's a good bit of explanation, but also almost not enough explanation, which kind of kept me intrigued by the book. I do think I thought it was going to be a little more gothic than it was for some reason. More gothic fantasy? I don't know. I think it's the cover. But instead we follow our heroine who has a nightmare being inside of her, and she has to hide that because she survived this sickness that gives people magic. And it is her journey and then like engagement to a son of the king or whatever, relative of the king, and her trying to hide her abilities from everyone but also help them all find these cards. And it just follows that journey, and it's really interesting. These tarot cards are involved in the magic system, which I found really fascinating and enjoyable as a setup. And then the way it ended, I want to start book 2 immediately, but I don't want to start book 2 because I know I'm going to start and stop a lot over my upcoming travel. So it's kind of just sitting there waiting for me when I get back, and I'm pretty excited for it, although Love in the Night starts right back. So who knows? I will pick up book 2 in October, I can tell you that. I don't know that it'll be what I read like while I'm on my trip because I have something else I want to read, But yeah, I left this one pretty happy, pretty pleased overall from how it was set up. And I think at the end of the day, it just was a pretty solid, popular romantasy title. Whereas a lot of times I feel like sometimes the popular ones just aren't always the best. So yeah, I had a good time with this. This was a solid 4.5 for me. It's gonna land somewhere in there. And that feels like a win at the end of the day. But yeah, I had a great time with this. And again, I feel like I had a normal person reading month at the end of the day. And that's okay. Like, that's not a bad thing, especially when we consider my manga reading. Let me know what your favorite read of September was. So maybe I'll put it on my TBR for the end of the year here. And if you don't want to do that, you can leave me a airplane emoji because I will be flying home when you're watching this video. Actually, I think I will already be home by the time this video goes up. But either way, I will have been on some airplanes recently upon watching. So you can leave me an airplane emoji if you don't want to do any of that. I will have links to these books down below for you. Links to my friend anywhere on the internet that I am. And I will catch y'all in just a few days in my next video. Bye!
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions. We'll get away. This is what